Okay, so let's get right into it because this is a wild one. News just dropped that has the entire tech world scrambling. Apple and Google, yeah, those two, the biggest rivals you can think of, are apparently in talks for a massive AI partnership. You heard me right. It looks like Apple might finally be trying to fix Siri by teaming up with the one company it's supposed to be competing with. And that brings us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? What in the world does Siri plus Google's Gemini even look like? For years, Siri has been, well, it's been Siri, you know what I mean? So the idea that Apple would outsource the brains of its most iconic digital assistant to its biggest rival, no less, feels almost impossible. But maybe it's not. All right, let's break down what's actually on the table with this Siri Gemini deal. The big question on everyone's mind is why? Why would Apple even think about turning to Google for this? Well, from what insiders are saying, this isn't just some casual conversation. This is serious. And it all boils down to a high-stakes competition happening inside Apple's own walls. So apparently, Apple is holding what's being called a bake-off. Think of it like a showdown. In one corner, you've got Apple's own homegrown AI model that they've been working on for the next generation of Siri. And in the other corner, you have an outside challenger, with Google's Gemini being the top contender to power the whole thing. And this slide really lays out the tough choice that Tim Cook is facing. On one side, you have Apple's internal project. The word is it's hitting some serious delays, and some people inside the company are even worried it's a dead end. But on the other side, you've got this super practical alternative, Google's Gemini. And this wouldn't just be some off-the-shelf thing. The idea is that Google would build a custom model that runs right on Apple's own servers, optimized for their chips. Now, I know what you're thinking. This partnership still sounds kind of bizarre, right? But you have to remember, there is a huge precedent for this kind of frenemy relationship between them. Apple has shown again and again that they can be incredibly pragmatic, especially when there's a big enough financial reason. And here it is. This is the number that puts everything into perspective. Google pays Apple around $20 billion a year. Every single year. Just so Google Search can be the default on the iPhone. So yeah, when the money's right, Apple has no problem putting a rival's product right on its home screen. But this raises a totally new and fascinating question. With Search, it's simple. The money flows one way. But with AI, who pays who? It's not just about ads anymore. Whoever wins gets this insane fire hose of user data to train their models. And you could argue that's way more valuable than cash. The economics here are a complete mystery. So that gets us to what the experts are saying, because everyone is trying to figure out the same thing. Is this a brilliant 4D chess move by Apple, or is it a total surrender? The takes are flying, and trust me, they are strong, because the stakes could not be higher. We're talking about the entire future of AI. First up, you have the most cynical take out there. It's pretty straightforward. As Zero Hedge puts it, this is basically just Apple waving the white flag, a public admission that they've completely given up on the AI race and just can't compete on their own. But then there's the strategic angle, which, if you're a competitor, is honestly way more terrifying. Tom Shaughnessy over at Delphi Ventures says that if this deal happens, it's game over. And why? Because overnight, Gemini wouldn't just be on Android phones. It would be on billions of Apple devices too, all at once. And that game over scenario really boils down to these three things. First, the data coming in from billions of users would give Gemini a competitive moat so deep that nobody else could cross it. Second, the model would just keep getting smarter and smarter at an insane pace. And of course, a deal this huge would absolutely attract the attention of regulators, just like their search deal already has. But here's the thing. This isn't just about making Siri better. While Apple is figuring out its next move, Google is already quietly weaving AI into everything we do online, pushing way beyond simple chatbots. And that leads us to the next big frontier, something called agentic AI. This is the whole idea driving Google's strategy. It's an AI that doesn't just give you information, but actually becomes an agent that does things for you, booking your dinner, buying your tickets, scheduling your appointments in the real world. And this is basically Google's secret playbook, reportedly called Project Mariner. It's a slow and steady rollout. First, they pushed their AI search out globally. Then, they quietly added the ability to make a restaurant reservation. Pretty soon, you'll be booking appointments, buying tickets. They're slowly turning search from something that finds stuff into an agent that does stuff. It's a total game changer. And while all these deals and new features are being rolled out, the AI war is also being fought on a totally different front, the courtroom. And it just goes to show you how incredibly high the stakes are for every single player in this game. So now, Elon Musk is suing Apple and OpenAI. His claim that these two are acting like a monopolist force, working together to crush competitors like his own AI, Grok, by giving ChatGPT special treatment in the App Store. OpenAI's response was pretty blunt. They're calling it part of Musk's pattern of harassment and saying that ChatGPT is popular because it's good, while they said Grok has a, and I quote, porny brand problem. Okay, so let's put all the pieces on the board. You've got this potential Apple-Google alliance, you have Google pushing into this agentic AI world, and you have these brutal lawsuits flying between all the other players. What does the future of AI actually start to look like? Well, analyst Robert Scoble has this really compelling and honestly kind of chilling idea. He argues that an Apple-Google AI partnership could create a brand new duopoly, one that would be just as powerful as the Microsoft and Intel alliance, Wintel, that dominated computers for decades. A force so big it would be almost impossible for guys like Mark Zuckerberg or Sam Altman to disrupt. And really, that's the big thought I want to leave you with. By teaming up, could Apple and Google be about to create a new Wintel for the age of AI, an untouchable partnership that defines the next 20 years of technology and just locks everybody else out? The pieces are definitely moving. Now we just have to wait and see who makes the final move.